Are you ready?
For a podcast hosted by George T.
Who the hell are you?
I am the movie geek.
Who are you?
I am the movie geek.
You are such a geek.
Thank you.
And now, on with the show.
It's time!
It's showtime.
It's showtime.
Here we go.
Welcome back to the Movie Geek Podcast. My name is George T.
And what a weekend it was at both the Razzies and the Oscars. We've got controversies in both, or some controversy and maybe internet trolls, more or less. We'll get to all of that. I do not think we'll have time for any movie reviews or this week, but on next week's show, a lot of it is going to be movie reviews and also deep dives into the big categories from the Oscars. But let us start with the predictions for both the Razzies and Oscars. So, as I said in both of my preview shows, that a lot of this stuff is subjective, and I will say the Razzies were unexpected in that we saw a independent film win almost every category except for acting awards, and we'll dive into that controversy coming up very momentarily. As far as the Oscars are concerned, the big winners, or the big categories that are recognized all the time, I did very well in. It was the smaller categories, and my outrage will be on one specific category, and of course it's my outrage, it's not everybody else's, so we'll worry about that later. But let us start with the Razzies. So the Razzies had a pretty controversial debate afterwards. The critics were talking about whether this film or not should have been nominated for any of the Razzies at any point, because it is such an independent film and it was made with literally no budget whatsoever. So let's dive into this. We're going to start with, obviously, worst picture of the year was Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. But every category it was nominated in, it won in. So whereas I had thought that it couldn't win every award because it wasn't, absolutely the most terrible movie. I mean, it was the worst movie. But as far as like The Exorcist, Believer was horrible, Shazam! Fury of the Gods was horrible. I mean, those films alone should have gotten some kind of recognition. Instead, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey won everything. Now, we get to the actor categories, and the Razzies, for some reason, and I said this in my Razzie special, but Sly Stallone is by far one of the actors that they pick on a lot because he won, again, for Best Supporting Actor. In the other category, the male worst actor was Jon Voight. Again, not sure why he was nominated for this, but what became very interesting, and I did say this on my Razzie special, that if I were the committee, I would have gone with Megan Fox for both lead actress and worst supporting actress, because she's flat out a terrible actress in it, and they do what I said I would probably have done. Even though I didn't pick her in the supporting role, but I did pick her as the worst actress in a feature film. So congratulations to the Razzies for doing what probably I should have said I would have done. But anyway, so needless to say, the controversy became whether Winnie the Pooh should have been nominated for anything. I believe the example would be Sharknado. Sharknado has never been nominated for Razzies, even though, quite frankly, it should. I mean, if you've seen any of those movies, you absolutely know that these are some of the worst acted, and it's terrible. But again, with a film that has literally no budget, I think they said they had maybe $5-6 million budget, if that. So they are an independent film. They weren't an actual like Hollywood film. So critics, when they were making their ballots, didn't really give credence to the Winnie the Pooh movie, even though they were going to give it some respect for being obviously trash. But the nominating committees decided that it was absolutely top to bottom the worst movie of the year. So that's where this controversy comes in. So what do you think? Do you think a film that is done kind of like on a college, dare almost, should be alongside some of Hollywood's worst movies. Because again, I'm telling you right now, Exorcist Believer, if you haven't seen it, I say just don't even bother seeing this movie because it is absolute trash. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, same thing. Horrible. And of course, I've got my DC is Dead podcast sitting and waiting for me to drop it because DC is pretty much trash. So, again, the bigger issue is Winnie the Pooh being nominated alongside big time movies. Again, weigh in it on you as you would like. I know from just seeing the movie, it was a very bad movie and trashy movie. But at the same time, again, there are critics who judge these just like they do the Oscars and really question the validity of having such a small budgeted, non unionized, I would say is the better term for it, movie alongside movies like The Exorcist Believer or Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So that is the Razzies. All right, so let's move on to the Oscars. And it was a good night for Oppenheimer, winning 7 awards. Poor Things was another one that really swept up a lot of awards. And both movies were very, very good. Obviously, The Holdovers didn't win as many as I thought maybe should have. But again, 2 strong movies, Poor Things and Oppenheimer. So I didn't really think that there was much controversy in the bigger awards. Let me just go through this quickly. Obviously, Oppenheimer winning for Best Director and Christopher Nolan, Best Motion Picture, the lead actor Cillian Murphy, and I don't know why I kept calling him by another name, but that's neither here nor there because I'm kind of bad with names anyway. Robert Downey Jr. winning as Best Supporting Actor. So again, those were all my picks. And obviously the movie was dominant in the theater. And then we go to the female side, Divine Joy Randolph winning for The Holdovers in the Best Actress in a Supporting Role. I thought she was excellent in this movie, so I was very happy for her. And then listening to my prediction one, I had preferenced my award for lead actress by saying that I love Emma Stone. Emma Stone is an amazing actress who, does a lot of great movies. I was going to go with the upset with Lily Gladstone because that movie had such a strong, powerful message and she was amazing in it. And Emma Stone, again, in Poor Things, just an absolute gem of a role. She was just amazing in it. So I said I did not have a preference. So with my DraftKings, I did go with Lily Gladstone, and unfortunately, she lost. Emma Stone won. She won her second. Congratulations to her, because again, her role as Bella Baxter in Poor Things was such a crazy dynamic role where she was basically a child learning how to become an adult, and just the whole premise of it, if you have not seen the movie, it is a little out there for probably many of you who are just non-movie watchers. So it is a little quirky and everything else, but it is a really good film, and you should definitely check it out. So on to some of the other categories. I was very happy with some of my predictions going through. The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar won for Best Live Short Film. I did not know this, and I wish I did know this ahead of time, but Wes Anderson was the one that directed it, and this is his actual first Oscar. Wes Anderson has had some amazing movies, and this will be where I will be doing, snippets of directors who have done some amazing movies, who, have won Oscars, and we'll deep dive into some of those and break down some of their movies. Like, again, Christopher Nolan winning for Oppenheimer. This guy has made some tremendously successful movies over and over and over again, and I'll keep saying it too. I have scripts. I would love to get them in the hands of this guy, but I know that's not going to happen, but whatever. So anyway, my biggest gripe about the Oscars was the best animation film, and The Boy and the Heron winning over Spider-Man Across the Spideyverse. I'm sorry, but this movie should not have won this award. And I'm going to tell you that a movie that did so much money and was number one for so many weeks gets beat out by a movie that did $8 million. Come on, that's just ridiculous. Are we just against superhero movies? I don't know, but this one got me a little outraged. I was a little upset, but I mean, I'm not going to rage quit or whatever the kids call it nowadays, or I'm not going to take to X or my Instagram and be like, oh my God, this is terrible. No, I will say though, the Oscars were very entertaining this year. And as I was talking to my friend who we do this every year where we text each other through the show, and it was quite a lively show. The big thing that I took away from it at the end, and I knew that the TV news reporters would, or the media in general, were going to take three things away from this Oscar. It was Oppenheimer winning the big awards, and 7 altogether. Number 2 is the performance of Ryan Gosling as It's Me, Ken. I think that's the name of the song. And he did an absolutely fabulous job. I've read some of the reviews on it. I've also read his comments on it. He wanted to do a very Marilyn Monroe-esque type performance out there, and he was absolutely amazing. He had the crowd going. He had his co-actors and actresses singing along with him. He had, I think it was Axl Rose on the guitar playing. I don't know, or whatever. I don't know, but I'm not a music person. So, but this is where I said this will be a memorable thing that they will talk about. And then there was one other mentionable thing. So 50 years to the day was a memorable moment in Oscar history where there was a presenter up on stage, and right before presenting the Oscar, a man ran across the stage fully naked. So Jimmy Kimmel, the host, said, wow, this should be an interesting time to revisit that and maybe do a reenact. And nobody came out. And then he said it again. And this time, John Cena shows up. And he is standing behind the curtain, and he says that he can't do this. He's naked and he does not want to do this. So Kimmel said, well, it's a funny bit. You should be able to do this. No problem. And they go back and forth. Then Kimmel says, well, you have to announce the winner for best costume. So you might want to get out there, and hands them this big envelope. So he kind of shimmies his way, covering himself with this envelope, and he is stark ass naked. So I was sitting there going, oh my God, this guy has just, me, and my son watching wrestling have long since seen John Cena pretty much every night, every week, seeing him perform in the ring. And he has done some amazing stuff in his acting career where he hasn't taken himself so seriously. So he's been doing a lot of comedies. Again, he was a mermaid in Barbie, and he just did a movie called Ricky Standusky or something, it's Ricky Stanicki, and that is on Amazon right now, and we'll be reviewing that next week, as I definitely want to see this. He's, I think, in one clip dressed as Britney Spears from her video of Oh Baby Baby. It's a funny looking thing, so I cannot wait to review it for you. So I said those three things will lead the Oscar reviews from the local media and maybe the national media. And the next morning, I was sitting down watching my local news, and sure enough, those three things were the big talk about points. Well, of course, John Cena being naked on TV is going to spark some interest. Ryan Gosling's performance was another one that was absolutely brilliant, even though they didn't win for that song. It was the other song from Barbie, which a lot of people were scratching their head about. So that was that. And then you've got Oppenheimer being the big award winning movie. And there was a colorful little banter between Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, who was presenting an award together. They were talking about putting on the shelf, and they were trading back and forth, and it was a very funny exchange. So the other things that caught my eye over this was Al Pacino doing the final award of the night, where he didn't even announce the 10 nominees and just weren't right for the winner. He looked like he should not have even been on stage. And then the other one was Arnold and Danny DeVito doing just whatever they wanted to do, even though they did a little skit toward Michael Keaton and Batman, and that was a little fun. And it's just, it was crazy. So, but I'm glad that they went to 7 o'clock and not 8 o'clock, because at least this way we were in bed by 11 o'clock and not midnight like normal. So that was the good thing. So there has been some fallout from this whole thing. And again, this is now internet trolls being internet trolls. So apparently there's some backlash about Robert Downey Jr. not looking, I'm going to mess up his name, K. Hugh Kwan. I guess he didn't look him in the eye when he accepted it. And the internet trolls went ballistic saying that he was being disrespectful. But if you watch the clip, there were 5 people on stage doing the nominations. I believe Tim Robbins was the first one that he really went over to shake his hand. I know they have some past together. They've done a few movies together. So maybe that was why initially he did not look him straight in the eye. I mean, I don't see where this is a big problem. It's not like he ignored him completely and didn't acknowledge that they were on stage. Also, I think Robbins had also kind of slipped early on in his little monologue saying that, the person that he was doing the presentation for, which was Robert De Niro, was winning the award. So maybe that was a little tongue-in-cheek, little, hey, you know what, next time don't mess it up. So Robert Downey Jr., we know, has had such a remarkable career arc where he was almost blacklisted for a long time because of his drug and alcohol use, and then his revival, and now to winning this award. And he did accept the award, and some people were like, well, his acceptance speech was cringy and all over the place. Well, that's who he is. He's that person. He's not, he's an actor playing roles, but he is also a human being. And he has had so many failures and triumphs in his life. They talked about, his wife pretty much saving him from a scrap heap, basically. And, there's been plenty of articles out there talking about their relationship and how it has become his essential vice because it has really kept him grounded enough to do these kind of acting jobs. And again, he was pretty much, a young star who, got into the world of drugs and alcohol, almost killed his career. And now he's back, and now he's got an Oscar to show for it. So again, internet trolls doing what they do best. There was also another one, they were talking about Emma Stone, and this one is just as far-fetched and so on. And I don't even want to get into it, but as you will see, if you watched it or you watched a clip of it, Jennifer Lawrence was the one who gave Emma Stone her Oscar award. Michelle Yeoh came through after the Oscars because she found out that, Jennifer Lawrence, may have stepped in and gave it to Emma Stone, or I don't know, some stupid thing that I really don't want to get into. But Michelle Yeoh had said, oh, I gave it to Jennifer to give to you by mistake. And hopefully the internet trolls will go away from this because again, we're nitpicking over the littlest shit and it's just annoying. Can we just get through awards shows or anything in life without some internet trolls doing what they do best, trolling? So Emma Stone won her second one. Congratulations on that as well. And just to follow up on Emma Stone, the director of Poor Things has a new movie with her coming out called Kinds of Kindness. That is coming out this summer, and I will probably preview that one on the next episode, but not going to do that right now because we're still talking about the Oscars. I want to talk briefly about the 2 documentary categories. Documentary Best Feature, 20 Days in Mariupol. If you have not seen this documentary, it is definitely worth it. It is all about the Ukrainian crisis right now. It is just sad to see what this has become. And we are going on almost, I think it was 2 years now that Russia invaded Ukraine. We need to stop this. Like, this is outrageous. And if you've seen this documentary, you would be outraged too. And the director got up there, talked about this is the first Oscar for Ukraine, and all he wants is help for his people. And it was very moving. They let him talk. Normally, they would cut people off after a certain point, but they let him talk. It was more a political point, and just awesome. And then we've got the documentary short, which was won by the movie I thought was going to win it, The Last Repair Shop, and that was also moving. They brought a kid up from one of the inner city schools that they repaired instruments for, and I thought it was just brilliant. And I know it was an upset over the ABC's book reading, but two amazing documentaries, so you definitely should check those out. Another category I wanted to go over just briefly, and I want to say this, and this is not a joke, but Best Visual Effects went to Godzilla -1. Now, I believe in my category, my prediction was going to be Mission Impossible because of just the action sequences alone. But Godzilla -1 marks the first and only Godzilla movie that has ever won an Oscar. So that is an amazing accomplishment in itself, because guess what? Godzilla times Kong, the New Empire, is not even going to be remotely in the conversation for any Oscars probably next year, even though it might get nominated for visual effects or some crazy sound thing or whatever. It won't sniff anything. It won't even probably do that much money. So who knows? I mean, every time they put a new trailer out, it just The other one I wanted to talk about was Best Adapted Screenplay. American Fiction wound up winning this one, and it is definitely a surprise to me, because again, I thought either Oppenheimer or Poor Things. I still didn't understand why Barbie was in that category, but Zone of Interest was another one. So all those movies in that category, and American Fiction was able to win this. It says a lot about this movie. So it is definitely worth a look for you if you are looking for a good kind of a drama, a guy who's trying to make it in the book world, and he's written, and finally it happens for him. It's really, really good. All right, so to recap, the big winners of the night was Oppenheimer with 7. Poor Things won 4 Oscars that night. So those two movies, congratulations, those were the big winners. And then there was a bunch of 1s and 2s, like Zone of Interest won a couple. And so again, overall, the Razzies and the Oscars for prediction wise, I didn't do too bad. But again, the smaller categories, I did not bet on DraftKings, because again, they're all subjective, and it's very hard to know what the Academy is looking for. Although, as I watch these every year, I will get a lot more better understanding. Like Poor Things, again, winning, a lot of that smaller, editing and cinematography and stuff like that. You just kind of look at it and say, okay, this is kind of what they're looking for. And so maybe we'll get better at that on the predictions for next year. So this concludes our Movie Geek podcast for this week, our Razzies and Oscar recap edition. So this is the weekly one for the week. I've got a lot to review for next week. So we've got a lot of movie reviews, a lot of TV reviews, previews as well. So definitely come back and check this out. I am grateful for all the listeners out there. This now makes a milestone for me. This is the 10th episode that I am dropping, and hopefully we're going to have a zillion more. And so if you haven't downloaded and you're just listening to it, download it, because the site that I go through only tracks downloads apparently. So download, like it. I want to thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next time at the movies.
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.